Rachel Maddow has reacted to Joy Reid being fired from MSNBC. And during her reaction, she mentioned race. Does she have a point here? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the big dog over at MS13DNC, Rachel Maddow, reacting to Joy Reid being fired from the network. Now, as I said from the beginning, during her reaction, she mentioned race as part of this whole thing. Now, she didn't come out and say that MSNBC is racist directly, but she did mention race. Now, I think she's onto something. By mentioning that, you're in the right ballpark, but your conclusion is probably going to be wrong. Now, before I get into any of that, let's watch the reaction from Joy Reid herself. She has a podcast, of course, and on this podcast, she mentioned being fired from the network. This video, she's going to talk about what the show meant to her and a whole lot more. We're going to watch this, then we're going to get to a whole lot more. And everything, of course, will be in the box if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. If you're on IG, visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
My show had value, and that, I'm sorry, that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I'm sorry, I try not to cry on TV. And I think this is kind of like me on TV, so I apologize. And then it mattered. I see Karen is there, and she's been texting me as well. And so what I will just say is that in the end, thank you. Where I land is that the moment of guilt that I felt, that I went hard on so many issues, whether it was the Black Lives Matter issues of a young baby or a mom or a dad that was killed.
You're pushing racial division and hatred and things of this nature that's fueling a lot of the riots happening all over this country that impacted Black communities negatively. Is that what you're hanging your head on? Okay. Now, if I was to feel sorry for your tears, which I don't, you saying that just took any kind of sorrow I had for you away.
Or when we opened up people's eyes to the fact that Asian Americans were being targeted, and not just Black folks, or went hard for immigrants who've done nothing but come to this country like my parents did and try to make a life.
Well, your parents came legally. Your dad from Congo, your mom from Guyana, right? I don't think you're here illegally, or I don't think they are. And if they are, well, they can go back. We're talking about illegal aliens, but I don't want to get too far into that right now.
And defended them, or whether we've talked about what the president is doing that is subversive to the Constitution, that is injurious to our liberty, defending books that people find inconvenient, that Nicole Hannah-Jones put in.
Inconvenient? You're talking about pornographic books in the libraries of children, little kids, elementary school kids, a kid's 8 years old and has access to a pornographic book in the library. See, the things you're mentioning right now, that's the exact reason why people like me are glad you're gone. And really, I want the entire mainstream media industry to collapse. Now, here's Rachel Maddow and her spiel about the Joy Reid firing and others, because it wasn't just her.
Even bigger programming change is at 7 p.m. Eastern, where Joy Reid's show, The Readout, ended tonight. And Joy is not taking a different job in the network. She is leaving the network altogether. And that is very, very, very hard to take. I am 51 years old. I have been gainfully employed since I was 12. And I have had so many different kinds of jobs, you wouldn't believe me if I told you.
What were you doing at 12 years old to earn a living? That's what I want to know. Like, give me the whole rundown of your jobs.
But in all of the jobs I have had, in all of the years I have been alive, there is no colleague for whom I have had more affection and more respect than Joy Reid. I love everything about her. I'm
sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Learned so much from her. I have so much more to learn from her. I do not want to lose her as a colleague here at MSNBC. And personally, I think it is a bad mistake to let her walk out the door. It is not my call, and I understand that. But that's what I think. I will tell you, it is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows.
Rachel Maddow, I want to give you your flowers right now. I appreciate you using the term non-white rather than people of color or POC or BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, Person of Color, BIPOC. I appreciate you for saying the actual term that you really want to say, which is non-white. Thank you for that, but I digress.
As is Katie Fang on the weekend. And that feels worse than bad, no matter who replaces them. That feels indefensible, and I do not defend it.
So basically what's happening, from what I'm able to pick up, they have getting rid of all their non-white people from the television on MSNBC. Maybe they have somebody left. I'm not quite sure who it is. Now, this is an interesting picture. Do you remember these people? On the left, you have Melissa Harris Perry, and she wasn't even that bad. She was okay. But when they started to go to Tiffany Cross, like you can see a difference in the way they're dressed, their behavior. You know, Melissa Harris Perry was more professional. This right here, you're getting into more kind of streetwear, and then Joy Reid, similar to Tiffany Cross. But all of them are gone from the network. Okay. Now, somebody might say, well, hey, but yo, that means that the network is racist. Well, not necessarily. We're going to get into it. Okay. Lester Holt is not being fired from the network on NBC but he's going to step down from nightly news after a decade in that role. Now, the nightly news role is a big role. That's the David Muir, that's Lester Holt, that was Brian Williams. Like, when you're in that seat, that's like you're going to be in people's households for 20, 30 years. That is a big role to have. Now, he's going to go to Nightline, I believe, rather than being on the nightly news, which is a demotion. Okay. And of course, he Black. Now, there's more here. These are some more recent firings. You have Jonathan Capehart. You have, of course, Joy Reid, this guy, Eamon, and then this lady right here. What's her name? Stephanie Fang? Katie Fang. So Eamon, Mohamed Dylan, Katie Fang. These are all people who have been let go by the network. They're all done. All their shows are gone. Okay. Now, this right here is kind of the elephant in the room. This is the elephant in the room. Michael Rappaport is pretty interesting. He's made kind of a 180. He used to be, I hate Trump, Orange Man bad, and now he's the exact opposite. Let's see what he says about the firing of Joy Reid, which also, in my humble opinion, accounts for the firing of all the other non-whites from the network.
There's been a lot of discussion about Joyless Joy Reid. Her show got canceled. And I don't scoff at anybody in show business because she essentially is a performer. It wasn't a news show. It was a personal commentary show on a news network, MSNBC. I don't laugh at people losing their jobs.
Same.
Although she's still at the network, but the show itself, one of the reasons why the show got canceled is because people didn't watch. And I'm sure they ran it up the flagpole. Oh, should we cancel Joyless Joy Reid during Black History Month? They had to stop the financial bleeding. And you people that are complaining about Joyless Joy Reid's show getting canceled, did you watch? I see more people complaining about Joyless Joy Reid's show getting canceled than were actually watching Joy.
That's the point I want to make right there. That is the point. Listen, you know the reason why all those Black and non-white people were fired from the network? You know the reason why? It's not just because they were non-white. It's because they were hired in part because they're non-white, but they were not necessarily talented. That's the whole thing. Why would I watch Joy Reid? You're not really a looker. Keep it all the way real. I mean, it's show business. You're on TV. People can see you. You got to look a certain kind of way. That's number one. And number two, you don't really have any kind of original thought. You just kind of reading from a teleprompter. You're just a person who is put into a slot to speak about certain issues, but you're not talented enough to draw in viewers. Not for MSNBC. Now, you might be able to do a podcast and get an audience that way. And you know what? I'm going to say this. As I close, I'm going to say this. If you're talented enough, you could just go do a podcast and be successful. Look, you've already had a push from MSNBC. You're a household name. I've not seen Melissa Harris Perry on television for the past, I don't know how many years. It might have been the past 5-10 years. It's been a long time, but I still recognize who that is. I know her name. So with that kind of name recognition, and I don't even watch television, you should be able to go to the streets, as the cool kids say, have a podcast, bring on guests, and get some kind of traction. But they can't because they're not dynamic like a lot of us are on the interwebs. We don't need a TV to get us to where we got to go. We could do it on our own. And you need that kind of talent to be on TV to drive ratings, to drive viewership. And if you don't have it, well, what's the point of having you on the network at all? Listen, I don't care what color people are on TV. I don't care nothing about that. And I don't think MSNBC really cares. I mean, maybe they'll say, okay, we're going to hire this black person. We're going to hire this non-white person. But ultimately, whether they keep you or not is going to come down in dollars and cents. And if it's not making dollars, then it's not making sense. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about what Rachel Maddow said as far as the firing of Joy Reid from MSNBC? How you think about, what do you feel about what I said? Do you think what I said is correct? How about Michael Rappaport? The guy who was at one point a big time, never Trumper, I hate Trump, orange man bad, has gone a different direction. Whether you believe he's being performative or not, just to make money for himself, that's aside from the point. Is what he said correct? Is what I said correct? Or do you think that Joy Reid is correct? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I mean, at the end of the day, ain't nobody watching that. Nobody's watching. Like, who's going to get up and say, you know what? I want to watch Jonathan Capehart. I want to watch Joy Reid's readout. We, as content creators, are going to take clips from these shows and react to it, but we're not going to actually sit down and watch it for any kind of entertainment or any kind of education because we know they're liars. You're not that good looking. I'm sorry. I'm being superficial, but that's the reality of television. You got to look a certain kind of way. If I was sitting here looking like Gargamel or what's that from the Lord of the Rings, Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings, if I sat here and looked like that, I might not have as many subscribers, okay? It's simple. You don't have what it takes to be successful at a level high enough on television for it to make sense for them to keep you on. That's all. The race, again, plays into it because I think they were hired in part because of their race rather than their actual talent. Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.